Good day, welcome to biology class. My name is Mr. Williams A.O. and with me is today our topic is digestive system. We are going to be looking at digestive system. Before we go, let us look at our lesson objective.
By the end of the lesson, students should be able to divine digestion, state two similarities, earthworm and cockroach digestive system. Mention three differences between earthworm and cockroach digestive system. Draw a well-labeled of an earthworm.
Okay, so first thing is that what is digestion? Can you help us what is digestion?
Digestion is the breaking down of large molecules of food into smaller particles that are absorbable by the body of animals.
Now, if you look at it, there are some big words that are breaking down. Digestion has to do with breaking down. It must be breaking down, and we are not breaking down anything. What must be breaking down is food. So it can be if you break it down, just break it down, and it's not a food. It is not digestion. So breaking down of large molecule of food and into what smaller particles, and the small particles was absorbable. Now it must be useful to the body. So breaking down of that food, maybe you ate big yam and it becomes small glucose inside your body. That is not digestion. But if you eat yam and you just break it down, you just pound yam now. You actually broke down the yam. You did not. It is not absorbable to your body. Then that means that it is still not digestion. For digestion to occur, it must be breaking down of the food into smaller particles and was what absorbable into by the animal. Now, types of digestion, we have
Intracellular digestion
which is
the breaking down of food materials inside the food vacuoles within the cell.
now in intracellular digestion. It happens mostly in unicellular organisms or organisms that are not with complex cells. Let's say organisms like amoeba. Now, if amoeba pick up its food, the food, this is the nucleus. The food, when the food enter into the body of the amoeba, the food form in a food vacuum, and inside that food vacuum, within just a cell, that is where it digests the food and it takes away the undigested food. So that's why we say that digestion of food by the inside what food vacuums is within the cell. But when we talk about the second type of digestion,
Extracellular digestion is the breaking down of food material outside the cell in the lumen of the alimentary canal.
Now, this one now, the food is not digested in the cell. The food is digested in the lumen, like a tube or whatever you call it. And from that tube, after the digestion finish, it goes to the cell. It's not digested, it's what? It's outside the cell. I call it extra, outside, intra, within. Extracellular digestion. And that goes to, let's start with digestion in some organism. Let's start with the organism called planaria, a flatworm. And this is the diagram. So what is planaria? Let's talk about planaria.
Planaria is a free-living flatworm that feeds on small animals.
Okay. Now, so planaria has a simple alimentary canal. Now, when you look at planaria, this is the planaria here. It's a very simple alimentary canal, and that planaria canal will have one single opening, which is what?
The mouth.
The mouth, only the mouth. It doesn't have anus like our own, that we have mouth and we have anus. Have only one single opening. And what happens is that when the planaria is hungry and wants to eat, it will push out this part called the pharynx, extend it to the mouth, which suck in the food. And when it suck in the food enters. You can see this is the planaria opening. When it suck in the food enters through the three branches of intestine. It branches into three parts: one to the head and two to the body. You can see them going to the body. Now, in that intestine, that is where its own digestion and absorption take place. Digestion and absorption take place in those branch alimentary small intestine. And the food that is undigested, the food that it doesn't eat, the same mouth that it used to ingest the food, that's where it will pass out the food that is undigested in the body. So you have just one opening, which is used for both injection and ejection. And digestion takes place in their three branch small intestine: digestion and also absorption. Hope you understand that. So let's go to another organism. So but before we go there, let us ask some question. What is digestion? What is digestion? Can you tell us what is digestion?
Digestion is the breaking down of large molecule of food into smaller particles. that are absorbable
Yes,
in the body
body
of
of
animals.
animals. Please, thank you for that, Samatu. So it's the breaking down of food, of large molecule of food, into smaller particles that are absorbable into the body of animals. Then the two types of digestion are what?
Extracellular digestion
And intracellular digestion. Thank you. So let us go to the next organism, the earthworm. The earthworm. Digestion in earthworm. This is an earthworm alimentary canal. Now,
Earthworm and most animals has two openings.
yes, so unlike planaria, earthworm have two openings, which are what? The mouth and the anus. So let us talk more about earthworm.
A mouth and a thin-walled vocal cavity for food to be ingested.
Mhm.
A muscular thick-walled pharynx which secretes mucus to lubricate food particles. A narrow tubular thin-walled esophagus, a thin-walled crop for storing food. A thick-walled muscular gizzard where food is ground against small stones to break it up, and a long straight intestine in which extracellular digestion occurs. The digested food diffuse through the intestinal wall into the surrounding blood capillaries. The blood then transports the food to all parts of the body. The undigested food material are then passed through the cecum, the rectum, and finally ingested through the anus.
Now, like how Miss Odubaku have explained to us through the reading. Now, when an earthworm pick up its food, earthworm are annelids, and they stay in moist environment, and they are detritus. That means they feed on dead organic matters. So when they pick up their food using the mouth, so the food move from the mouth, also called buccal cavity, into a place called pharynx. And when they pick up the food is usually ash. So they need, the pharynx is going to secrete what we call mucus. Mucus. And the function of the mucus is to lubricate the food for easy passage of the food through the esophagus to the crop. It is in the crop that the food is temporary storage of food. So after the food move from the crops, the food will drop bit by bit into the gizzard, which is a thick muscular wall used for grounding the food. Because they don't have teeth to grind the food, so the gizzard ground the food for them using the small stone that they pick with the food. Then from there, the food moves to the intestine. In the intestine, that is where digestion and absorption take place. Digestion and absorption. So that's where they finish their final digestion and absorption. Where undigested food now, the food that are not needed, and from there, in digestion, after they are digested, some of the digested food will move into the blood capillaries, where it now move throughout the body. Nutrient goes throughout the body of the organism. But the food that are not digested, or the undigested food that are not needed, those one move to the cecum. The other one from the cecum, where it absorbs water and some other nutrients, then to the rectum. Then rectum, where it stored the feces. Then after the rectum is food, the food moved through the undigested food go out through the anus. That's how they defecate. That's why they eject the food. Hope we get that. So the food move from what? The mouth to the pharynx for lubrication with the mucus, through the mucus. From the pharynx to the esophagus, which connect to the crop for temporary storage. From crop to the gizzard, where the food is being grounded. And then there to what? Intestine. What about the intestine?
Digestion and absorption.
Thank you. And then move to what? The cecum to the rectum, and rectum to the anus, where the undigested food are ejected. Thank you. So let's see if we can look at digestion in insects. So we're picking an insect. We're picking insect that can do biting and chewing. So we are picking grasshopper. I will also use cockroach. But this cockroach digestive system. This cockroach. But this grasshopper mouse. Let's look at grasshopper now. So let's talk about it.
The mouth parts such as mandibles, maxillae, and labium.
Labium.
with sharp cutting edge is used for the cutting and crushing of food.
Thank you. Now, the mouth part of grasshopper and cockroach is made up. We have the major, actually four parts. We have the mandibles, the maxillae, the labium, and the labrum. If you look at it, we have labrum, we have labium, we have the mandibles, the two mandibles, and we have the maxillae. So they use the mandible and maxillae to cut the food for cutting, and maxillae to cut. How they use the labium and the labrum. The labium and the labrum, they are like the upper lips, just as we have our own upper lips and lower lips, so that they stop the food from falling out of their mouth. So they use the labium and mandible to what? Cut and crush. Then from there, the food moves to, oh God, we have jumped. So in the mouth also, what happened?
A pair of salivary glands secrete saliva containing salivary juice and enzymes which soften and breaking down the food.
Then what happened next?
The muscular thick-walled pharynx which secretes mucus to lubricate food particles. The narrow tubular thin-walled esophagus, a thin-walled crop for temporary storage of food. The thick-walled muscular gizzard, where food is ground to break it up.
Okay, so let me explain before we move to the next page. So after the food has been cut and crushed through the mouth, the food moves to even in the mouth there is salivary gland. They have salivary gland like we have saliva in our own mouth too. That salivary gland that secretes saliva, and the saliva contains what? Salivary juice, and the juice also contains enzymes. What are enzymes? Enzymes are biological catalysts that speed up the rate of chemical reaction. So the saliva and the enzyme help to soften the food and to break down the food in their mouth. Then from the mouth, the food moves to the pharynx, a thick wall pharynx. And in the pharynx, mucus, like in the H1 to mucus is secreted. And the function of the mucus is to do what?
To
lubricate the food, so that it can pass easily through the esophagus. So from the esophagus, the food moves to the what?
Crop.
To the crop, and the same function of the crop is what?
Temporary
storage of the food. Then from the crop, the food moves to the thick muscular wall called gizzard. And what is the function of the gizzard?
To ground
the food. So it ground the food also like it did in. Then from there, it goes to the what? The short midgut with what? 6 fleshy diverticulum. And why is it 6 fleshy? Why is it?
Which increases the surface area for digestion and
absorption. So these are the diverticulum. You can see them here. So they help to digest. They help to provide larger surface for digestion and absorption. Then after that, the food moves to the hindgut, which consists of what?
Ileum, colon, and rectum.
And they do what?
Shapes the feces into
Palate
and absorbs water and mineral salts. The feces are later passed through the anus.
So you can see now. So the ileum, colon, and they have to what? Absorb water. You know, insects don't actually, most of insects don't drink water that much, so they have to take their water from their food. So they will try to take out all the water from the food, from their ileum, colon, and the rectum. And also the feces is now shaped into a shape called palate. After the water and the mineral salt has been absorbed, so it now mixes with uric acid from their Macridian tubules to form the feces, which is passed through the anus. So let us look at it. So digestion in H1. So digestion in H1 goes from the mouth to the pharynx, right? And what happens in the pharynx? Mucus is secreted for lubricate the food. Then from the pharynx to the esophagus, and from the esophagus to the crop. And the function of the crop is to what? Temporary storage of food. Then from there you move to the gizzard, and the gizzard is to do what? To ground the food. Then from the gizzard it goes to the intestine, where digestion and what take place?
Absorption.
Digestion and absorption. Then from there it goes to the cecum, and then to the rectum, the undigested food to the rectum, and from the rectum it is digested through the anus. So, and then what are the similarities between what's on this thing? Digestion in insect. What are these they have in common? Insect and earthworm. And yes, what are things they have in common?
Pharynx,
They both have pharynx,
esophagus.
they both have esophagus. Yes. So both pharynx secrete mucus, if I'm right.
Yes.
And also both of them have gizzard for grinding of food. So you can actually look, you can see more different similarities between them and differences. We found out that in the mouth of earthworm there is no salivary gland, but in cockroach we have something like that. Also, feature there is not like mid guts or end guts in the earthworm, which we have it in cockroach. Okay, that we will end today's class here. In our next class, we'll be looking at digestion in birds and in mammals. We'll be picking human being as an example. So, if you have any question, you can forward it to us. Miss Awubaku is here to answer your question. And also, I, Mr. Williams, are here. Take care. See you in the next class.